Hello. For those whom I did not see, and those who I already met, hello again. I would like to give few commentaries on the things that I have heard today. So today's phrase just caught my ear. It sounded like мы не хотим никакое предложение переводить member. So what does this mean? So that means that we create the product that will be used lots of times, and we will not receive any bonuses. So it is as it is. We cannot avoid that. Our industry becomes more technical, and we need just to accept this. So when Tatiana and company were telling about their experience, I was very I treat volunteer job very carefully because yes, it is necessary, it is useful, and in some cases it is necessary and can be the only effective way. But along with this, the performing of commercial work for free is very bad practice, to my opinion. It's just the commentaries. And now let's go back to our official part. Thanks for coming. I hope that this will be not the last time. So we finished our official part. So the topic is freelance, as usually. So I found out about the freelance term a lot later after I started doing it. So before, in the middle of 90s, I united the additional work. I treated it as the way to survive, and we have lots of examples when people take positions not related, and in their free time they do the freelance. So my career is very, very dense, and it started from 2001 when I dove into the internet completely, and I witnessed only two contractors in the person with whom I arranged the meeting before to go to the coffee and to talk, and the other clients became for me only virtual, and so lots of factors turned successful, and it was the start of the millennium. It was the stage when the internet market started to be filled with the huge amount of clients, so they were looking for the interpreters, and it was just from that time it was just enough to be present at social portals to get clients if you have the required base. But so people with the experience and with the good resume, they were just like hot potatoes. They were always in demand. And from that time it was the pure freelance. So 15 years is the decent amount of time to make conclusions. So what was amazing for me is that while having a large publications, discussions and forum topics, freelance is still a mystery for some people, because not all people do understand what freelance is. So there is the chain of stereotypes which we are going to discuss, and I will become abstract as usually and start being philosophical and as as Tatiana mentioned, how does translate concern this topic? Okay, so the translation is not only field, but this is the way of life. So for me, it was very important to determine the term freelance, just because I like to clearly understand what I am doing. So this is my informed behavior. So I want to understand, to realize what I am doing. So my researchers brought me to the next determination. So freelance is, as a rule, mostly the individual work on a payment basis, grounded on different agreements without any other legal obligations except those that are related to the job done. So we can add some obligations on payments, but they are more related to the client. So we could stop right here at this point, but do anybody have any questions according to the freelance, or maybe they can add something to the freelance term?
To the definition? Yes, maybe. The interpreter cannot hear it. The microphone, please. I don't know whether it's an adjustment of the term, but in our sphere, in game and localization, is when you have to take shifts on small orders. The customer is waiting for us to be available. Starting from 10 to 5, we get an order that is due, that is 30 minutes due. So I've always wondered how can we join the no obligations like those and on salary in-house work. And two other comments. Maybe long-term contracts with the customer. Maybe not individual works, but long-term contracts. All right. You know, majority of my clients, I've been working with them for years. With some of them for decades, but it doesn't mean that we have a standing long-term agreement. Formally, we're working on individual order basis. Concerning the requirements of the customer, sometimes we have those like specific understood requirements. But remember the PO that we sign, the amount of words, the deadline, and the amount of money. What other requirements do we have? I think that sometimes, if I want to buy a car, I want it to be driven. That's its core sense. I understand. If I want to buy a translation, I suppose that it should be of a certain quality, and the professional translator is supposed to know these requirements and comply with them. So, well, I could have stopped with the definition and finished the topic, the issue right away, but I can also add that freelance is also a lifestyle. I guess that experienced freelancers had a certain adaptation period, adjustment period, due to the fact that they had to change their lifestyle completely and their own psychology as well. This adaptation was not only with themselves but with their families as well. For example, examples from real life that lots of people can relate to. Saturday morning, children's voice, for example, "Are we not going to the zoo again?" Or your beloved mother-in-law for the 6th time during the last hour tells you something like, "Miss, my friend Rima told me that if you wash your hair with a certain herb, my hair won't go gray for a long time." What do you say? How do you comment that? How do you comment that not to hurt a person? So our family does not see us as working people when we're sitting at the laptop. And the child says, "Mom, look what I drew. Well, look at my picture." While we are sitting and working on a specific phrase and a very challenging phrase, or the old ladies near your house, for example, Oleg, they're asking you, "We haven't seen you leave your flat for a long time. Do you go to your office or do you not?" And I say, "Yes, I work." "What do you do?" You go abroad quite often. "What do you do? Do you sell drugs or what? You seem quite rich. What do you do?" So these are typical situations for freelancers, for people who work from their homes. Let's get back to the definition. I think I'll repeat it. Freelance is individual form of providing paid work, paid services based on, is it contracts? Is it okay? Do you hear everything well, or because of the rain there might be problems? Okay, based on individual contracts with no obligations from the side of the freelancer except for this specific task. Okay, several thoughts on this would be nice. For example, about the word individual. I said, as a rule, we can see these British people as for example, the people who lay the tile. You can see them as freelancers, as a group of freelancers. So they're not registered somewhere. The people who do refurbishment of your flat. These are also almost freelancers. So you understand the analogy, the metaphor. So it's paid work. Of course, if we do the work on a volunteer basis, it's absolutely different thing. Then obligations, next thing. We mentioned that any contract. No, we didn't mention that. Said that the PO says the minimum requirements, minimum parameters, is the date, the amount. The amount of work, the amount of money. So in general, I'm okay with that. And in fact, nobody should be able to tell me how to provide this or that work, in which clothes at what time. And as a freelancer, I'm really happy that I'm able to work in sports pants that are old and not looking good. I can have coffee at any time of the day I want, not only during the coffee breaks, and I'm okay. I'm absolutely happy with that. So when I tell the price to the client, I also tell it with including the price of my coffee. When the spoken translators, the oral translators should also include the evening clothes, the heels, the gowns, the dresses, the tuxedos. Yes, of course, because sometimes the dress code needs to be complied with. Well, here I'm privileged as a written translator because I work whenever I want and in whichever manner I want. Certain the basic requirements of the client are the following: for me to give the final result of an acceptable quality. The way of doing it, by Google, myself, using another translator, this is not the interest of some of my clients at all. Sometimes I discuss this issue with my certain clients. For example, some of them said we're certified according to a certain standard, and it says that each of our partners should be checked for meeting certain requirements. We checked you, and we're okay with you. If you take any other translator, it's the violation of service agreement. You cannot do that. And some people told me it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to us. in what manner you finalize your work, you do your job. That's something like that. Concerning the contract that I mentioned in the definition, the labor contract, labor agreement, is an element of my relationship with the customer. The translator has two options, like in-house work, salaried work, or freelance. That's why we also compare with in-house work. When we work on a certain position, we at the same time say that we are okay with the conditions that the standard conditions that are given by the employer, by the client. As a freelancer, I can adjust the conditions for me. Actually, I'm not interested in the large, huge amount of the conditions that are about to compensate the low salary on in-house work. I'm okay with the high salary, and I'll take into account all the medical expenses, all the social expenses, my vacation. I will pay it from my own pocket using the salary that I negotiated upon with the customers. There are no other parameters that are about to be negotiated with the customer. Well, perhaps the method of payment is not a criteria, it's not a parameter. The standard is a banking payment, and the majority of people are okay with that. If we need to evade the law, that's another thing. The terms of payment is like the chronological terms of payment is not crucial for me. The most important thing is that the agreement is about the goodwill of the signatory. The agreement of the signatory to the conditions that are contained in this document. One moment, please. I want it to be as logical as my speech to be as logical as possible. By the way, the majority of us still has a definition. Maybe that's our historical legacy. Think of a client as of an employer. That is absolutely wrong because we're partners. The customer strives to become an employer for us and to have some strings attached to us. Yes, this is true, but I always try to keep partner relations with my clients. But sometimes I notice when when I use outsourcing that people perceive me as an employer, and this is difficult for me because people label me. People take obligations, feel that I'm obliged for before them, and I, as a freelancer, am against that in all possible manners. In the 1960s and 70s, the representatives of a freelancer profession, freelancer work, craft, who were they? The journalists, yes, right, journalists. But I would differentiate here. A journalist might write an awesome, ingenious article that is about to receive a Pulitzer and try to sell it to a certain magazine or journal magazine, and in this way, such journalist can be just compared to a person who sells fried chicken in our neighborhood. The person created a product and tries to sell it, and the freelancer is an independent manufacturer. What makes him a freelancer is the following: when he receives the task from the for example, the task to take a picture of a Spider-Man, and you will get your money. You have the task. How you fulfill the task is not interesting to your prospective customer. In that way, this is called freelance. The perfect client, the perfect customer shouldn't be interested in how the work is done and how the result is achieved. That's my personal opinion. Unfortunately, in our work, we have certain difficulties because we cannot write our own translation, just as journalists create their own works. Our work is limited in a certain way. For example, see the framework of the translation. I'm doing the translation actually. The agency ordered that translation with me. For example, the short framework, the short mechanism. And the final customer ordered this translation from the mediator, but the final user of the translation might be absolutely another actor who does not have great contact with the customer. For example, if I'm buying a car, an electric pot, and I buy something, that I buy a guideline, a manual, a usage manual, I also pay for the localization, advertising campaign, the marketing campaign that has its ratio in the final price of the product. In that sense, with direct commerce, we can try to get a better bargain. We can say, you can tell the person who sells strawberries, please bring me a better strawberries, and I will pay you more. And in our situation, in translation, I cannot say, please pay the translator more, and I'm ready to pay more for the electric pot or a car, a little bit more, several percents more, so that the translators earn more.
But I wish I could. So this is the general picture. And now let's go back to our float and talk on the following aspects. So I think that the freelancer, is free, but when on the forums I face very active discussions in which people that just started to do the freelance, they interact and say, wow, it's not freedom, what are you talking about? The freelancer is the person who refuses to work 8 hours a day in order to work 16 hours a day. So I think the shift of understanding. So what do they understand when they say freedom? So if you don't want to do anything, you just need to go to the state and work. And so the contract positions, they do require and they provide the demands, and one of the demands is to be on the working place. And how much does the person work from 8 hours? It can be 2 hours, it can be 8 hours, it can be 3 hours, or maybe 15 minutes, but they are obliged to be on the working place, and their presence on that place is paid. So the page number 6. So what is the freedom of the freelancer? Is the freedom of choice, first of all. Yes. So who never refused of the job offered by the client? Are those people present in this room? Oh, I'm happy. I'm happy because in my time, I had this psychological problem with saying no. So if I say no, the client will never call me again. If you refuse to work, the client will find somebody else and give the job to the other translator. So I'm happy that there is no people who never refused, and even more, very often happens that urgent translation, so I charge 30% of even 50% more. So it is, and the translation, the project stops being urgent, so the client does not require. Okay, this is my echo, just in English. So who has more free time, freelancer or contract worker? So there is no answer to this question. I have no freelancer whom I know in person. So I prefer work 3, 4, 5 hours a day. It is pretty enough for me to earn good money, enough to live my life. And I have freelancers, my friend freelancers, who work 3 or 4 years, and so you need to meet your prices. So my working hour in real life, as a fact, is 60 euros. So I edit fast, I translate fast, maybe not always perfect, but still clients continue working with me for 5 hours. So it is 300 euros per day. So it is pretty comfortable for me not to earn more, because I don't need more. So, but my demands, my needs might change, but so I can share my perfect formula of perfect income for me. Maybe you already know it. Oh. So what does it equal? Enough income plus the interpreter cannot see the board. Okay, so the perfect formula, the formula of perfect income, when I earn enough and have something left. So when this formula starts changing, so the mark equal changes to minus. So for example, I need some living conditions, so it's not enough. So I increase my prices. So for example, I'm going to Scandinavia, and so this option will change. So I will have not some money left, but very, very less money left. So this part disappears, for example, it equals 0, so the balance stays the same, but the formula is not working now. So the thing that is left, the income, the money that is left, should be more than 0. So but I'm not aimed to change a little bit to very much. So I have no need to do that, and as a freelancer I try to avoid any obligations that I don't want to take. So for example, the availability of free money is the obligation. For example, it can be the nerves that you spend for banking, the problems with banks, or the fear of my money to be stolen, or the fear of the bankruptcy. So I don't need the extra headache. So I'm not that mature in business, so I do not want to invest, so I don't want to re-qualify myself. And so I have my way of life easily noticed by old people under my house. So I earn enough and something is left. So let's move on. So if to underline my speech, so the freelance is impossible to be forced to do something that he doesn't want to. I already told you my point that the freelance provides you pretty stable balance between freedom and independence. So it is, these words look similar, the synonyms, but they do have different shades. So freedom means that I can do whatever I want to do, but independence is the opportunity to not to do the stuff I don't want to. So we can be free in some point, but we are not able to be totally independent because we need to eat, at least. So we need to earn money for a living. Just if we don't have a sponsor who gives us money for free. So the freelance allows you to support the stable balance while having the certain level of independence and freedom. So as I already told, okay, I will skip this. I thought that the presentation will take an hour, but it is only 40 minutes. So in order to underline the key points, I will shorten my presentation a little bit. Okay. So once I tried, I noticed that I transfer my freelance principles of relationships out of the borders of my job. For example, in people relationships, interpersonal relationships, and my relationships with the government. And with the government, it's a very tough situation because here the freedom totally disappears. The attitude is not horizontal and partner, but totally vertical. There is the owner and the worker, and so the procedure due to which our lords become our lords. So the dialogue with the government can sound like this. So when I see something new that government offers me, I have the question. First question is what the hell? So the government replies, well, we need to provide for those people, them. We need to provide for them. Okay, so I have the same people as they. I have my own people. I have parents who are retired. I have kids. So can I provide for not those, but for mine? So the government replies, yes, you can, but in this special order. Okay, I'm asking. Well, it was not that I agreed on. So is it possible for you not to provide for me when I get old? And government replies, yes, you are stupid, you cannot process your money, you don't know how to keep money. We take you for and will provide for you when you will get old and sick in the amount of, well, enough for fill my tank, my car engine. So I will not have any more money left for cigarettes. So I reply to the government, well, this is, you treat us, you cheat on us. So where is it? Okay, where is it written? And they give you, read this. Okay, so what makes me even more sad with the relationship with government is the things written above the lines. So if I do not stick to my obligation, I face the consequences. It is very often can be administrative or criminal charges. But if government not fulfill their obligation, they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I wish I could, but we cannot." So, okay. By the way, after my speech, there will be a coffee break. So if you have any topics for discussion, we can leave for a few minutes. I don't have any other speaker punching. Okay, so as a freelancer, while talking to the government, I say no. I will also do the same thing that you do to us, but perfectly legal. I will not go deeper into details, but I managed to do that. So maybe someday somebody will review this presentation in the internet and they say, you already told everything about you. Okay, so interpersonal relationships.
It would be strange to speak of a contract because we don't sign any contracts. By the way, let's leave family outside the freelancer relations because it's different. It's totally different. Mutual compromise. So we're talking about a goodwill, voluntary refusal from freedom. But when it comes to interpersonal relations in all other spheres, then the contractual relations is the same as the friend or foe detection system. When thanks to certain criteria, I understand how equal we are, how good this person meets my vision of the world. For example, some of you know it, my scandal, like a Facebook scandal with a person, my conflict, when I received lots of negativity, lots of criticism for publishing excerpts from personal messaging with a certain person. I'm not interested in the vision of the world of the person. I'm just interested in adhering to the rules, in complying with the rules. So we did that. We agreed upon them, but that person violated those rules. We started to play chess, and he started to play backgammon. The person broke the rules and gave the right to me to break the rules as well. So I just turned it upside down, turned the whole playing field upside down. So the victory is mine, actually. I see the situation just like this. If somebody regarding me tries to act unethically, breaking the rules of the contract that we had, this person is about to receive a reaction that is without the frameworks of moral or ethics or anything at all. If people favor actions that are within even criminal criminal field. For example, theft, manipulations, or lying, or anything like that is possible with just one condition. The person should be well aware of the consequences of his or her actions. And I think I have 5 points of freelance psychology that I'm about to give you as a conclusion. Maybe it's philosophy, because philosophy is a complex of interconnected ideas. So, and they are the following. Number 1 is an existing agreement as a basis of any relationships, except of an informed refusal from such a contract. I mean family. By this I mean family. Number 2, freedom of decision taking. Absolute freedom of decision taking without pressure from anyone at all. Maximum of independence. Independence is the ability to not do something you don't want to do. Achieving your own aim as a criteria of acceptability of certain actions. So I define the acceptability of these actions, or those ones, based on how effective they are in terms of achieving my aims, plus an obligatory paragraph number 5, I should be ready for consequences of every step. Please, you can throw now. Please ask questions or throw stones at me. As we have freelancer, we have a freedom of choice. What I say, we don't want to rob you of an opportunity to ask a question to Oleg. The same questions you can ask me later. If there are questions here, the microphones are. Please ask your questions. I'm really worried about the question. You say that you work with agencies most of all. Sometimes it's really difficult. Maybe the agencies are quite good, and they give you necessary materials, consult them, or do you go without that? With some agencies, my work is the following. Oleg, shall you do this? Yes, I can. This is PO. In 2, 3, 5, 8 days, I send the work. I work with the topics that that I'm informed about, that I'm familiar with, and most of all, I don't need additional materials. I don't just receive the materials that I never receive POs or materials that I don't know. Sometimes when I tested myself, there was only technical translation, maybe marketing, perhaps. Technical, certain spheres, oil and gas, techniques. I tried IT, but this is so virtual, so technological that it's kind of difficult for me. Did it take you a long time to settle your specification? Well, this process is still underway, because lately I've been working with tourism. I travel a lot myself, and sometimes the text that I receive is about the places that I've already been. So in that way it's absolutely easy. This works as a general topic, but when we're talking about, for example, the architecture of certain churches or history, these are specific texts. But nevertheless, we have a new specialization. I don't know why, but in general, that's a constant process that goes on and on. And I think I have certain topics that are settled for me, because I know my stuff about that, and certain inflow of work goes directly. Hello, Oleg. Please tell me, did you have periods of time when the inflow of orders became so small that small amount was not enough for a month or two of such unexpected situation? I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Freelance is always about ups and downs. Sometimes it's very up, sometimes it's so down. But this formula, I apply it during a certain period that is stretched in time. You can't make conclusions based on the weekly basis, monthly basis. I just use this formula based on the whole freelance experience of mine. 2008 was so successful for me that it allowed me to make a financial support, fundamental basis for myself. You need to differentiate your income sources, including the small thing that is left for you should also be the source of income. For example, as an interest, as a source of interest, the profit. Well, because of the currency rates, the fluctuations, and the inflation. Of course, this influences and the capitalization as well. And in a long-term perspective, it's quite profitable, but it's a conservative way, and I wouldn't recommend that. But nevertheless, that's what it is. Thank you. Based on the previous speaker, I think you are sometimes you're a certain untouchable person. Inga Michaeli told you about the level when the translator becomes untouchable, and no ups and downs are scary for him. So you're certain. I'm just saying that you're a translator of a really, really high level. So based on your personal experience, the specialization is quite important. In your experience as well, how important diversifying is for you as a freelancer. As a freelancer, I'm not tied, I'm not anchored to anything, including my own profession. We are living in a swiftly changing world that changes so quickly. Remember the prices and the amounts of oil extraction for 2004, 2005, and how it all changed in 2008 when this virtual loan money just disappeared, and the oil at the peak of its prices stopped being the source of profit. Starting from 2008, I lost all my oil orders. Starting from 2008, there were none. But before that, I used to work in that sphere for several months in a row. Adjusting yourself to a changing situation is much more important, I think, than sticking to the field of specialization that you chose. How can you forecast? How can you? Maybe I can walk this way, and the tendency changes and goes that way. Why? I diversify myself not only in translation but also in. As of today, my income from translation is about 75% of my general income. I grow flowers on my in my country house. I sell my book that I'm still selling my book that I wrote. It costs $50 per item, and it's kind of a moderate income that I have. Like $50. I mean the English language version, of course, not the Ukrainian one. plus certain types of activity that is that has commercial part to it. I understood. You diversify it. You don't search for additional niches of translation, but you search for absolutely non-related spheres of work. If I'm searching for something, what I'm searching for is commercial attractiveness of things that I'm interested in anyway. I wanted to ask a last question. Yes, because Oleg wants to have some coffee too. Respect to you for the flowers. Concerning the flowers, that's huge. I work as a freelancer often with our translation bureaus from the commercial chamber, and they have a note on the door that they don't do notary translations, that the notary translations should be taken from the notary officer. And they also know that many translation issues are not regulated on a legislative in the legislative sphere. For example, do you work as a court as a court translator? In Ukraine, we don't have the status of a court translator. For example, in Portugal, all notifications, all certificates that are taken from the court are adjusted by the court translator.
So it is the question of the government, because, for example, in Portuguese countries, they can have just the signature. So the question is, what is the facility that should do that? The authority should do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. No applause.